If you would like to make a change to your order or would like to request a receipt, please press 3. For everything else, press 3. Again, to check the status of an existing order or to use our self...
Hello, everyone. Hello. I am Joshua William Gelb, and welcome to the Theater in Quarantine, right here in my East Village apartment, where so many months ago now, when we first received the stay-at-home orders, I converted the closet right behind me into a white box digital performance laboratory. It is Thursday, July 9th, and it is 9:01 p.m. here in New York City. And thank you all for joining me tonight for the rescheduled performances of Hypochondriac 1, an adaptation of Moliere's The Imaginary Invalid by myself and David McGee. Now, perhaps you caught a portion of it last week. Perhaps you logged in and found the 9 p.m. show had been canceled. It is true that in the middle of the 7 p.m. performance, there was an accident, which unfortunately forced us to postpone. But I assure you I am okay, and extremely excited to present to you our first attempt to serialize a longer piece, which we hope to bring to you in the coming months of this continuing pandemic. Usually we're here every other Thursday, but due to the shuffling of the schedule, we're actually going to be back next week on July 16th with a new installment of Closet Works, our dance series, which you'll see once every month, newly presented by The Invisible Dog, with additional support from Mamie Canfer and Justin Stewart. Thank you so much to our new sponsors. Now, next week, Katie Rose McLaughlin, our artistic associate and resident movement director, will be back with a couple new pieces, as well as a brand new piece by our special guest choreographer, Rasha Feather Kelly, which is just really exciting. So I hope you'll join us next week so you can see it for yourself. Usually, we collect donations on behalf of the artists, but tonight, we are collecting on behalf of the NAACP Legal Defense and Education Fund. In the description, you'll find a link to my Fractured Atlas page where all of your donations will be consolidated and passed on in support of their ongoing fight for racial justice. So give, please, whatever you can. And I want to thank all of my collaborators who worked on this piece. In addition to David McGee, the writer, there is Katie Rose McLaughlin, the movement director, Marika Kent, lighting and scenic design, Alex Hawthorn, sound and a little voiceover work, Justin Nestor, video design, and a special guest performance from Jessie Shelton. After the performance, please stick around. As always, I will be here with a glass of something to answer any questions you'd like to throw in the comments section. And if you enjoyed tonight's performance, please feel free to subscribe to the channel so you can hear whenever we're doing something new. So, let's get started. I'm going to take a brief 1-minute break so I can get into places. The piece is a little under 20 minutes long, so sit back and enjoy Hypochondriac 1.
Please remain on the line while we transfer your call.
Thank you for calling.
To participate in a brief survey, please remain on the line following your conversation with our customer service advocate.
The number you are trying to reach is currently not available. Please try dialing this number again later.
Thank you for calling.
If you are having a clinical crisis,
Sunrises, not many left. Sunsets, not many of those either. Hugs from the people you love. one could be the last. Let's be honest, you don't have much time left. Death is closer now than it's ever been, and closer now than it was just a moment ago. And right now, closer yet. Pastoral insurance. Shouldn't someone benefit from your untimely demise?
What I like about my doctor's bill is that it's always very polite. Fluidly evacuating the entrails of the good, kind sir, 300 plus copay. Yes, but doctors. It's not all about being polite. You have to be reasonable and not skin the sick. 300 plus copay. I am your humble servant, but you've administered me and all the other holes for less than 2.
Your call is very important to us.
300 plus copay. Plus 2, 5, 10, 20, plus. From the 24th, a small insinuative remollient clyster to soften, moisten, and refresh the gentleman's bowels.
If you'd like your call to remain important to us, press 1.
What's a clyster?
A clyster is an archaic term for an enema.
What's remollient?
This is a recording.
Because, in the language of the pharmacist, 300 means it only cost you half that. Total 2, maybe, yes. Even it being a good detergent clyster composed as a catholicon with rhubarb, rose honey, and other fine essential oils according to the prescription for sweeping, washing, and cleaning the dark and fetid insides of the very good sir. What's catholicon?
Your call is very important to us.
On the same evening, hepatic julep. I know hepatic. That's having to do with the kidneys.
Liver.
Hepatic julep! Composed of the finest soporifics to give the gentleman an abundant and restful sleep. 30. Huh? Yeah, no complaints about that one. It was a very good sleep. Deep and blessedly dreamless. Full price. I'll pay it. My dreams these days are...
Press 3.
On the 25th, a particularly potent purgative made of the finest senna picked freshly from the fertile fields of the Levant to thoroughly evacuate the bile and the bowels. Wait, 4? I shall pay 3. The 4th I paid in pride that day. Get as necessary, doctors, to remember, we are people. We patients are people.
We're sorry, but due to an extremely high call volume, your call is no longer important to us.
Hello?
At this time, all old gold basic members should press 8.
So, this month I've taken 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 doses of medication and had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 enemas, and no wonder I feel this way. Last month I had 12 doses of medication and 20 enemas. It's no wonder I don't feel as well this month as I did last. This is ridiculous. I'm not paying for any of this subpar care. I wish to speak with someone about this care. Operator! 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 Angela, you never call. I'm on the phone.
Yes.
Dad, I called you on the phone.
Well, not this phone. I mean, I'm on this phone, but I'm on the other one, too.
Can we talk?
Yes, your call is very important to me.
So what?
Wait, I have to. Toilet. Angela, there's something I wanted to talk to you about. I think you should get married. Can you hear me? I said I think you should. If you're answering, I can't hear you.
Yes,
I can't.
yes, Dad.
I couldn't hear you. Did anyone pick up the other call?
Dad,
We're both on
Dad,
speakerphone.
can we talk?
Wait. How do I do this? Right, can you come closer to the thing? Oh, that's better. Angela, don't you think it's time you got married?
Dad.
Death is closer now than it's ever been, and closer now than it was just a
Did she
moment
tell
ago. Well, a little birdie told me something. Because you never tell me anything at all. That you finally might be ready to with a special someone. Is there someone else there with you?
No. It's no one, Dad. Look, I wanted to talk to you because I have met someone.
Oh, thank you, God. Finally, we're on the same page.
And Bernadette said she...
Who said who'd what?
Bernadette?
I don't know a Bernadette.
Dad, your wife, my stepmom? Your actual current wife. When was the last time she visited you?
Oh, Bernadette, yeah.
She said she'd give you a heads up.
Oh, yeah. I'm sure I've heard everything there is to hear. Tall,
Yeah?
nice, smart,
Very.
honest,
Of course.
speaks a little Latin. I mean, if he's gonna be a doctor, he has to. His Cleister, so forth. Remoliant speaks Latin, imagine that.
Who told you all this?
Oh, my doctor.
Who knows your doctor?
Why, he's his nephew. Angela, we're talking about the man you're gonna, get hitched to, 'cause you've been single for a long time. Don't you think it's time you got married? Death is closer now than it's ever been. I mean, it's just what I think, but my doctor, the Purge one, Dr. Purge, we can call him, has a nephew who's the son of his doctor's brother-in-law. Not a blood nephew, I give you, but Dr. Purge is so close with Dr. Diuretus. And his son is called Thomas Diuretus. Tommy. Good old Tommy D. And he's looking for something long-term. And just this morning, Dr. Purge, Dr. Flu, that's the flu doctor, and me together talking about you. And tomorrow, this alleged son-in-law or nephew, I forget how they know each other. This tall, nice, honest, shall we say, Remolian fellow who has been introduced to me by his father or uncle. Are you there? Your call's very important to me.
Okay, well...
I'm sick.
I don't think you're listening to me, Dad.
I am sick. Angela, is there someone else in your house?
Just my... piano teacher. I'm taking piano lessons.
As a child, you never expressed any musical interest and/or talent.
Thanks, Dad.
The sounds you produced were otherworldly.
Dad.
Don't you think it would be a great relief to have a doctor in the house? It's a good match. She gets it. Dr. Diuretus has only one son. And he's going to inherit everything. And Dr. Purge, he doesn't have a wife, doesn't have kids. He's going to give everything to Thomas, too.
Her age, she doesn't have a choice. She has to say yes. Girl's been single her whole life. She doesn't know what she wants. Say what she wants, doesn't say. Oh, she chooses who I choose. She won't do it? Well, I'll insist, or I'll send her to a convent. Can you still? Who's gonna stop me? You don't think I have the heart for it, do you? It's true I don't have the heart for it, but I'll do it if I have to. Hello? Are convents still a thing? God, this is killing me. It'll take 8 doses, 12 enemas, just blind clinical trials, blind placebos, knowing in that I know are placebos, the water cure method, the laying on the hands for the fixing of my soul, clinical blind trials, technical restraints, procedures by medical students who need to rehearse the procedures knowing one day they'll do it with their eyes closed. They have to start somewhere. Start on me. Start on this heart. Start on these fetid bowels. Clyster after clyster. Wash them. Wash them over and over. I'll pay for it. I'll pay 1,000, 2,000, 20,000 just to repair the wound.
Did you say 20,000?
Yeah.
Thank you for calling Estate Services. Your call is very important to me. How may I be of service?
Hello? Is that a person? Hello?
Hello. You pressed 4 for a personal estate attorney.
I did? Oh! Well, that is lucky, because my second wife...
Bernadette?
Who? Oh, Bernadette, yeah. Bernadette's been asking me to speak to an estate attorney to make out a will, because...
You're near death.
Yes, I am sick and I could die. And I want to make sure she's taken care of.
100% of the estate to Bernadette.
Well, not everything. Some should go to...
Who?
What's her name?
Your daughter, Angela?
Angela! Yeah, that's it.
Well, this is why I'm so glad we're talking. Putting some of your money here, some there, some somewhere else, splitting it all up, it worries me. What could happen? I don't want to use any kind of scare tactics here. I don't want to worry the good sir. But these kind of situations do put me in mind to worry about fraud.
Fraud?
So you're worried too. That's good. That's sensible. That shows a sound mind. Best to act now while you still can. Did you know 70% of financial fraud victims in the U.S. are over the age of 70? And that estate planning fraud upon unsuspecting seniors accounts for 70% of that 70%? 70, 70, 70, sir. By my count, that means upwards of 210% of elder fraud cases are estate planning. It terrifies me to think of that happening. Keeps me up at night. I haven't slept worrying about you and my dear mama, dead these, and I without a, it's too much to bear. You see, I do this from personal, I talked to Bernadette, you know, and she is terrified for you.
You talked to Bernadette about all this?
Of course. She's the one who told me to talk to you, to make sure you're taken care of, so she's taken care of. She and, what's her name?
Angela.
Right, because she knows the annual cost of elder financial abuse is up to $36.5 billion. $37 billion stolen through rank chicanery. So here you are, sick, hospitalized, tortured by doctors and insurance companies, your brain not what it once was, and here comes young what's-her-name prancing in with the hair and the piano lessons, and Papa this and Mon Père that, with the... And here's a soon-to-be grieving, soon-to-be widow, distraught, who can't even think straight about her imminent loss, and then when those two are distracted and nobody else loves you and you're distracted by all the enemas, here comes along a scummy lawyer who uses tricks designed to frighten and confuse you into doing unspeakably stupid things with your money. Shit, if you'll excuse the... Then Bernadette's in the poorhouse, and who's-a-what's-it is in a convent, while J. Victor McLawyer Esquire is living in your house, eating all of your cheese, soiling your sheets, playing fetch with your dog, because of your wrecked old brain, your stupid brain, your unsound mind. Do you see how easily this might happen? It is all too easy if they suspect you might be incompetent. Do you know what day it is? What month? Season?
Why are you asking me these questions? It's Thursday!
It's Tuesday.
No, it's Thursday.
But it isn't. It's always been Tuesday. Better to hear it from me, who cares about you, than to learn it from someone who does not have your best interest at heart. So here's what we're going to do. You're going to give a trusted lawyer power of attorney, and once you do, kick the fucking bucket, or whatever the legal term is, I can then distribute the funds to the widow and the orphan as a gesture of whatever.
Remolians?
Sure.
I don't know.
But I do. Press 5 to grant power of attorney. It's that easy.
Yes, wait! I have to toilet!
Dad, can you hear me? I think the call cut out. No, he never leaves the phone without saying goodbye like a dozen times. It's like the last words he'll ever say to me. I can't stand it. I tried, okay? Oh, yeah. He's not losing it. He's sick, okay? And he's my dad. Dad!
Angela!
Yeah, Dad, you cut out.
Oh, I couldn't hear you.
But I have to go, okay?
Oh, okay. Be careful.
You too. Okay.
Okay. Goodbye.
I'm gonna go.
Goodbye.
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 I love you.
Goodbye.
Talk soon.
Goodbye.
Yeah. Oh, okay, Dad. Bye.
Thank you for calling.
If you are having a clinical crisis, say crisis or press 1. Otherwise, remain on the line.
Are you eligible for Medicare? If yes, press 1. Otherwise, press 2.
Are you or someone in your household 50 years or older? Press 1 for yes, 2 for no. One for yes, 2 for no.
Please listen carefully to the following 3 options before making your selection. If you're calling about a sympathy or funeral order, please press 1.
For pharmacy or prescription drug inquiries, press 2.
If you have a billing question, please press 2.
For questions about mental health, press 4.
If you have a corporate account and would like to place an order, please press 4.
For all other inquiries, press 5.
If you are calling with questions other than purchasing healthcare coverage options, please press 9.
If you would like to make...
Hello, everyone. Hey! I see some repeat visitors. Hello. Hi. Wow, we're already getting questions. Usually I have to vamp a little bit. Sweating already, just a bit, but not bleeding. So that's a good sign. Here, I'm just going to open my Grolsch. Usually I have bourbon, but it's just too hot. So sorry if it's a little loud. That's my AC, which I have turned on, which has been off for the entirety of the show, which is why I'm sweating so much. Hi, everyone. So, firstly, please put any questions you want into the comments section. We're on a bit of a lag, so it takes me a bit of time to get them. But I can't wait to answer any questions you might have. Firstly, just want to, again, promote next week's show. We're back with Closet Works. Katie Rose McLaughlin, the choreographer and the movement director of this piece, will be back with a couple new pieces of hers, as well as a new piece by Raja Feather Kelly, Unreal. So please check in with that. And please, if you enjoyed this, subscribe to the channel. But we're already getting questions, so enough with the promotional materials. Alex Giadone asks, how many screws did you put in that chair? It was rock solid. And the answer is no screws at all. But 2 toggle bolts and 2 brackets. So I put in 2 toggle bolts right below the sort of upper rib of that metal chair. It's a standard folding chair. Figuring that was actually a pretty strong piece of metal that was supporting most of the chair's weight in the first place. So I put 2 toggle bolts in there, and then just 2 brackets on the feet closest to the wall, and that's all. And it totally supports me, no problem. I try to tighten it every day just to make sure it's safe, but it's never been the problem, funny enough. Sometimes it's the things you put on top of it, though, that do fall off. Is that natural gray? You bet it is. No, I'm starting to go a little gray. You know, I guess actually I should be grateful. I mean, I'd rather be silver fox than bald, and I'm definitely going one way and not the other. Sorry, excuse me. Sweat is greater than blood, David? So that's David McGee, the playwright, an adapter of this marvelous piece that you just saw. David and I are old dear friends who have worked on many a piece together. And so it's been really wonderful bringing David back to the theater, which he sometimes says he's retiring from, but I don't believe him, to create this piece. It is a piece that was sort of inspired very early on. It's one of the first plays I considered doing in the closet when I first conceived of the closet itself. I was looking at all of those videos and newscasts about, hey Leone, looking at all those newscasts about nursing homes and how families were visiting their loved ones and being separated by windows and vertical blinds, and it was just so depressing and absurd. And I deeply really wanted to do a piece that sort of dealt with that. And very early on, I thought, oh, The Imaginary Invalid, Moliere's play, and how interesting it would be to take something so depressing and turn it into a comedy. And so that was a very early pitch to David. That being said, it took us this long to be able to master the technology in a way that actually allowed us to do this kind of work. It's very difficult to sync up live spoken text and do all of this cueing and bring in Jessie Shelton, a performer I just adore, who I'm so grateful she was able to join us in this piece. It's pre-recorded, but nonetheless, she's very special, even on a small television. But it's very difficult to get all of these pieces talking to each other. Syncing up my dialogue with my mouth alone is very complicated. So it took us this long to be able to do something like this. And it also took us this long to consider whether we'd actually be interested in thinking of this long-term enough that we want to do something serialized. So I'm very excited that you saw this. And Katie Rose is telling me that I have to talk about my fancy bracelet, which indeed is the bracelet, my admittance bracelet from Mount Sinai last Thursday when a television fell on my head. Not that television, that's our replacement, and it is wonderful. We had a very large television, and it plummeted as gravity insists. So this is the actual hospital bracelet gaff-taped to my wrist, because they're actually very difficult to take off. Anyway, it's off now. We can auction that off if anyone wants. Alex Giardone has another question. I'm curious about the choreography. Do you rehearse in person or by video? Good question. We rehearse everything remotely. The entire process. No one from the team has been in this apartment whatsoever. So I don't have anyone cueing anything. Everything is done through QLab and through Isadora. The little black box up there is my go button. So any cues that I am pushing that button for is actually happening in real time and is just programmed. I believe the flush is our last hand pushed cue, so I have to keep up with the show from that point on. And David McGee is not known for writing very laid-back dialogue. It is extremely rapid-fire, extremely dense, intelligent language. I got a little behind at a certain point today, but it's very difficult, but a lot of fun. So yeah, that's how the piece works. And no one's been here. So we rehearse over Zoom. I make sure the team has the actual perspective of the audience, so they are able to see exactly what you were seeing, which does make it a little bit easier, but nonetheless, we've really, as Katie Rose would say, we've really had to build a vocabulary for how to talk about the box beyond just stage left, stage right, because it just doesn't quite work the same way. So we've named the walls; they all are numbered, and really, it's become a whole new way of thinking, and the process is extremely has become extremely more formalized. But it's always something new, and we're always fighting the tech. TV did fall on my head. Yes, I am okay. I did the show, so that's fine. These little curls right here is where the glue was administered or whatever, deposited. So that's why they won't comb down. So yeah, it was a superficial wound. It was the hospital was empty. So it wasn't a big deal, but it did bleed a bit. And since it happened live while I was mid-performance, it was a little bit nerve-wracking, not just for myself, but for everyone who was watching. So that video is still on YouTube, and you can watch it if you want, if that's your thing. Yeah. It was named Ned. The wall is named Ned, isn't it? I should have been more explicit. They're really just numbered. We have wall 1, wall 3, and wall 5, and corner 2 and 4. So yeah, pick a wall and name it Ned if you want. Yeah, I mean, in terms of the televisions, though, it was something I've been really interested in is this question of how we can bring other performers into the space in a way that isn't just doing the Zoom thing that everyone is doing right now, although we do a little nod to it at the end. So I was interested in what are other ways that a performer could appear. Obviously, we've done a lot of voiceover in all of these pieces, and Alex Hawthorn, our sound designer, also jumped in and did all the voiceover work pretty impeccably. And he says he's not a performer. So I lost my train of thought. Where was it? So yeah, So that was part of why we brought the TVs in, and also the fact that it's an old television. It's this question of how we engage with new technology through sort of the lens of our relationship to older technology. So that's kind of what we're playing with here. The video was great. How are you processing? So we are doing everything with Isadora. We queue it. This is from Shannon, by the way. We queue it through QLab, sending OSC queues, if you're familiar. If not, don't worry. Sending OSC to Isadora. And that's all in my first computer. I have 2 computers set up right now. And so all of that's happening there. My camera is just my iPhone. And so we just put my iPhone into the computer, throw it into Isadora, do all of the processing there, send it to my computer B, which does all the streaming. And that way, we're able to kind of get a pretty strong stream. You know, I haven't seen it yet, so I don't know. We've got another question. Susan says, your injury scared me, but knowing David, I wasn't sure it wasn't intended. Well, you know, if we can figure out how to get a television, a lightweight television to fall on my head mid-performance, you know we're going to figure it out. I was trying to look up those, like, old, they don't have them anymore, but, like, remember in the olden days at IKEA, when they had those, like, giant plastic, like, totally lightweight television, tube TVs, like the props? I was trying to see if I could find one somewhere. I couldn't. It's too bad. Because, yeah, if we could get some sort of, like, really thin LCD screen or something in there, we could probably do a nice fall that would work and would be funny and not fatal. Alex says it worked well with the TV because it drew a parallel to how old people perceive video phones. Wow. Well then. Yeah, you hit the nail on the head there. That's really nice. I did. Oh, speaking of, actually, speaking of all the technology behind this, I do want to tell a bit of a story, a behind-the-scenes story that I forgot to tell at the 7 p.m. show, which is that the pre-show and the post-show sound that you're hearing is real hold music and real effects from a bunch of different hotlines that Alex Hawthorn called up and recorded and then distorted, which I find deeply disturbing and hilarious. So that's all real stuff. What else? Other little Easter eggs. The hypochondriac or the imaginary invalid was written by Moliere towards the end of his life. Moliere played the title role, Argon. We don't really name him. We just call him Dad. But that was Moliere's part. And actually, Moliere died immediately following a performance in the role. He passed out during the show, I think once or twice, and then died. And so it's become a bit of a bad luck cursed piece. So perhaps the accident last week was not so unforeseen. The mythology is that he was wearing green at the time, and so an actor should not wear green on stage. Somehow, though, we found ourselves not only with me wearing green, but with a green plant on stage. So somehow it feels like this play was conspiring against us a little bit. Where did the commercial in the beginning come from? Did you create it? It's a really good question. I don't know. We've never asked. So Justin Nestor, our video designer, who has been extremely generous with his technical insight throughout the entirety of the Theater in Quarantine process. Justin and Theater Me Too have really helped me a great deal in figuring out how to get the tech to work. So always a pleasure when Justin actually comes on to design a piece. Justin brought it in one day. David had written the commercial, the text for the commercial. Alex had recorded it, and Justin just brought that in, and all of us have just let it be since then because it is too precious and wonderful, and we don't exactly know where it came from. So, Justin, I don't think you're here tonight, but if you are, people are asking where that came from, and I just don't know. It's too funny. It has to be a parody, right? It can't be anything sincere. I imagine it's mashed up from a bunch of things. Anyway, so, yes, as I mentioned, this is actually an extremely complex piece for us to be creating. It has not just the video, not just a lot of sound and live cueing. We've also got lighting cues for the first time in our, really the first time in the entire project. Marika Kent came on for both scenic design, gotta love that orange carpet, and also lighting design. And we actually are able to get some cues going. I have a very small dimmer pack, 4 channels, and through QLab we're also lighting. So that was really exciting and new and something fun to play with. So yeah, Karen says, this one minus the head injury, maybe my favorite so far. Maybe it's because of the head injury. I don't know. I don't know what you're into. Yeah, I do. But thank you, Karen. Thank you so much. Thank you to everyone else who was watching. It's really fun to think about this piece as a serialized piece, and so I'm intrigued to see if people are excited to find out what happens. Of course, we don't know who Angela is dating. We don't know what will happen to Bernadette. We've never even met Bernadette, so there's a couple of loose ends, and it's exciting to think of how this piece can evolve. David and I, admittedly, haven't read the entire play. We've read Act 1. It is a 3-act play. And that is Bernadette. Leonie says, Bernadette. Yes. So yes, conceivably, it could be a 3-acter. And this could conceivably be the first part of that. Wonderful. We will bring them back then. It's really exciting to hear. It's really fun to suddenly be formalizing a schedule for this and a season. We actually just released our first major press release with the full season into September because we are doing. I'm trying not to stand up entirely because I'm not. I've got underwear on, but not pants. I have a, right after the show, they're like, particularly with this piece, it's like the AC has to come on. I need to put pants on. It's a lot of things that need to get done. But yeah, so we have a season now, and it's really exciting thinking about, particularly with Broadway and really most theaters closed until the end of the year, that we are going to keep pushing into 2021 and maybe beyond. So it's exciting to think about how we can bring this one back and really taking the time now that we've built a vocabulary to see where the play goes. I think there's a fake funeral at some point, so that'll be fun, I guess. David, I didn't say you had to read it. I just said that we might have to make it. That's all. That's it. Oof. But that being said, just to give a couple highlights of what's coming up in the Theater in Quarantine season. And again, if you enjoyed yourself tonight, please subscribe to the channel. please help us pass around links as performances go. We, I can't really say that we don't have major institutional support, but that's a bit of a lie because we are officially sponsored by Invisible Dog for our Closet Works performances, which are coming right at you next week. Again, Katie Rose McLaughlin will be choreographing with special guest choreographer Raja Feather Kelly. So suddenly, I guess I have to start calling myself a dancer. I don't know. That feels off. But that's coming next week, and we're actually going to bring that back every month. So every other Theater in Quarantine is going to be a more short-form dance-focused evening. And it's really wonderful because with those short pieces, we're really able to play with the technology and find new things that then we can incorporate and fold back into the larger theatrical evenings. So next week, the 16th, is Closet Works. The 2 weeks after that is going to be absolutely epic. And our first piece, with the royalties obtained, wow, we are doing an adaptation of Stanislaw Lem's short story from a collection of stories called The Star Diaries. And the piece is called The Seventh Voyage of Egon Tichy. And it is it's an insane comedy that is really going to push the boundaries of what my computers are capable of, truly. And that is being done with John Levin and Josh Luxemburg and a lot of the Hunger Artist crew. So if you've seen that, you know where this is going. It's going to be wild. It's a bit of a time-traveling space adventure, comedy slapstick adventure. Then we have another Closet Works, and then after that, I'm finally going to be showing my new verse epic, my new verse adaptation of Borges' short story, The Secret Miracle, which is going to be a sort of chamber orchestral piece with spoken text with music by Alex Weston, who's done a lot of the Theater in Quarantine work. So yes, maybe Ed McGee says maybe David could read it in the original French. After all, he got solid BS in high school French, HS French. Yeah, that's about right. Yeah, David, you have to actually translate it from the French yourself. I think that's a great idea. We use Google Translate a lot, and actually it's gotten pretty good, so much to the point where it's not even a punchline. I mean, it used to be something everyone would like Google Translate stuff, and it would come out all ridiculous, but not anymore. Now it's pretty decent, and I use it a lot. That being said, translating and adapting this piece has been strange and fun because it's really a filthy... Oh, we got solid B's. Oh, we got solid B's in high school French. I thought you were doing some sort of abbreviation comment joke that wouldn't work spoken. But yes, B's in high school French. Wait, oh, so you actually took French. Well, then you actually have to do it. This is no longer a joke. This is just real. Anyway, it's to say the original play is filthy and nothing but butt humor. I mean, the enemas, that's all Moliere. So that's something you don't see in Tartuffe. So it is a play steeped in anal humor, and so that's probably why I didn't wear pants. But it's also interesting because I think in some ways our adaptation's a little tamer than what Moliere does, which mentions enemas like every other line. But we're also on YouTube, which is a weird place for a theater artist to be. I think there's... I know, for instance, I looked it up, that there is a loophole in terms of YouTube not allowing nudity. They do, actually. as long as it's not sexually arousing or lewd, as we talked about in the last comments. So yes, since my butt's been on YouTube for a while, I think we can all agree that it is not arousing, which is good to know, for my life, but also good to know in terms of this piece seeming to skirt the rules a little bit. And it's fun to skirt the rules and figure out what YouTube will and won't allow, or what they are taking notice of and not. Do not use any copywritten music, because that algorithm will get you real fast. But it seems like butts are fine. As you can see, I am sort of giddy after doing these 2 shows. It's a really physically exhausting piece. I'd like to say I got really in shape while doing it, but that's not true whatsoever. Because I've been eating these giant sandwiches, I'll call it bulking up. But, I'm going to eat a sandwich after this, and it's going to be really good. And I'm going to finish this 6-pack. And then I'm going to get up and get ready for next week. And strike this set, which was always the most depressing experience. Although I get a real rush from repainting it white and feeling the sort of cleanliness of the pristine box. What else is there to say here at the late night show? Yeah, I don't know. It was so strange being at the hospital last week, particularly doing this show. Solo strike. It is interesting. I mean, it's not too much, but it is something nonetheless I have to do all the time. And, constantly cleaning up and repairing the closet. So, yeah, I was in the hospital last week. I think it fell in the middle of the lawyer scene. And, clearly the hospital is a place right now that's a sort of nerve-wracking experience being in the first place. But it was strange being there, having done this piece, which I try to say, I think David and I talked about this, that unlike in Moliere's time, where the criticism was clearly against actual doctors who would bleed you to death, or would let you die in the middle of performing the imaginary invalid, we are not trying to satirize doctors themselves so much as the culture of doctors, and of course the healthcare system that in our country is deeply broken and worthy of parody. So it was super fascinating finding myself in a hospital, trying to explain how this happened and what happened and why a vintage tube television fell on my head, and why it was on YouTube and they could watch it if they wanted. So that was extremely strange. At a certain point, they asked me to get changed and to get into a gown, and I flat out refused because it seemed to be crossing all sorts of lines of reality and fiction. So anyway, they were wonderful over at Mount Sinai. They got me cleaned up really fast. I don't have insurance, so they seem to take that in stride. I'm waiting to get my bill. But yeah, it was a very bizarre experience. What else is to be said? No one has any questions. This is always the most deranged sort of talk back ever. I suppose people who are younger and more used to, like, doing this sort of engagement it comes more naturally. But to me, it's just an act of rambling for as long as possible. And I know it's exciting. It's great to like chat with people, and I miss you. And it's so strange doing this work alone. And I think truly, and this is just honest, you know, the loneliest part of the evening is always when I finally log off and realize that I'm just a person alone who's been screaming in his closet all night. So it's really wonderful to get a chance to chat with all of you, and even though sometimes it just feels like I'm occupying time. I will assume that you are all laughing with me too. Make sure to smash that like button. Wait, what am I smashing, Dave? I don't understand. But I will. I will smash that like button. Oh, smash that like button. Make sure to smash that like button. I thought you were talking about the button, which is a foot pedal, so you can really smash it. I'm going to be disappointed to take the chair down, because actually I feel like I'm only now feeling confident enough to actually play up there. And I feel like today was the first day, both performances, where it was actually moving nicely up there. Oh, Karen, that's really sweet. No one's anywhere they don't want to be these days. I know, but I also see all of your Instagram posts of all the food you're cooking, and I want to be where you are. So that is true. So sweet, everybody. It's always, you know, these are my favorite nights, which is why I get so sad if something goes wrong and they don't work out. So I'm glad we were able to do this for you tonight. I'm glad it'll stick around and sort of be archived on YouTube, so that when we do it again, people can revisit the first one. It would be really exciting to think about doing these pieces in rep and what that might mean. I don't know. Alex says, just remember, the toggles will drop in the wall. Will always be there as a reminder that you did this. So true. You're so right. They will be right there. Until I start drilling holes so I can have doors to enter into the closet, which, a doggy door, or an actor doggy door. But yeah, that's something I haven't done yet. Ed, thank you. Thank you, everyone. It's 10 o'clock, or almost 10 o'clock, and I'm a little tired. It's been a long night, but I thank you all so much for hanging out tonight and for watching this piece. I want to thank all my collaborators again. David, you are a genius and one of my favorite playwrights, and I can't wait to make a new piece or a new installment of this with you, so that's coming. David McGee, playwright. Katie Rose McLaughlin, as always, who has a new title in the Theater in Quarantine, is our artistic associate artist. There it is. Associate artist and resident movement director, who will be back next week with some new pieces. Hey, Jess, awesome! And of course, Justin Nestor, who did video, Unreal Video, Marika Kent, lighting Scenic, Alex Hawthorn, sound, voiceover, and of course, Jessie Shelton, one of my favorite performers, who I'm just so grateful agreed to put her face on that TV screen. So thank you all. Again, subscribe if you like it. And help us share links as performances come. You can also like our Facebook page. Yeah, anyway, thank you all again. Next week, Closet Works. And, oh, Susan, so sweet. Doing original theater work on YouTube was far more successful than teaching special ed on Zoom. Well done. I can't imagine. I'm going to be teaching next semester, on Zoom, and because I didn't this past semester, and I'm a little nervous about it. But you know, this at least has been going really well, and I really appreciate it. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. Stay well, stay strong. There's a lot going on out there, I know. And I hope you'll keep tuning in. In the meantime, until this is over, I will be here in this closet. And it seems like I'll be here after that as well. So, thank you all again. Have a great night. Have a great weekend. I'm Joshua William Gelb. This is the Theater in Quarantine. Thank you so much for checking out Hypochondriac 1. Good night.
Time to think of each other. For all your service needs, to connect with each other and care for each other. For all your service needs.
Message C6001.